It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for another edition of the Greg Cherry Show right here on the Greg Cherry brand. Hello, everyone. As you can guess, my name's Greg Cherry. Good job. And joining me for this particular episode, he's been a former contestant on Wrestling Trivia Challenge. Please welcome DJ Bayside High. What's up, sir?
How are you?
Oh, not doing too bad. Little bit of a chaotic day, but we're looking forward to the Super Bowl. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking a little bit of wrestling, I'm sure, and we'll just
Of course.
shoot the shit, as it were. But first of all, Brett Storm did throw in a donation, as he always does. Colin, how are you? Good to see you. So, Brett, you are going to get your wheel spin coming up right now. All right, so I'm hoping it doesn't hit the 100 jumping jacks again. That was brutal for yours truly, but nonetheless.
That's some rough cardio.
It is some rough cardio, but you know what? I feel like with the gut I have, I kind of need it. So if it does land on that, I'll suffer through. But nonetheless, here we go. Ooh, just past bankrupt. Safe. To tell the truth. So, Brett, you know the drill. You've been doing this before. You can let both of us know any question you want us to answer honestly. Again, does not have to be wrestling related. Almost an entrance, though. So we are going to talk about the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, the Steelers weren't even close to making it. But the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams, I'll tell you this, if you would have asked me which two teams were going to make the Super Bowl, these were not well, actually the Rams were my choice. I picked the Rams and the Bills, so I was half right.
Me too.
Oh, well, there you go.
But I had Bengals Cowboys, so.
Oh, you have Bengals Cowboys, yeah. Well, man, I grilled Jeff about what happened on that last drive with the Cowboys in that game against the 49ers, and I don't know why somebody would call a quarterback draw with no timeouts and no intention of getting set right away. It's a very questionable decision. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just throw another out route for another 10 yards to get a little bit closer and save some time, but questionable decision. What are your predictions for the Super Bowl? Do you think the Bengals are finally going to overcome their hurdle and actually win their first Super Bowl? Because it looked like they were going to get blown out by the Chiefs, and then they came back from 18 down and ended up beating them in overtime. And the Rams you can't count out at all. What are your thoughts?
Being from Louisiana, it's either Joe Burrow or, don't come to Sunday dinner. So, I mean.
Yeah, makes sense. He is an LSU guy, so yeah. I don't blame it. It's not a bad pick. Like, Cincinnati has a good shot. This will probably be a really good Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to it. My wife is, of course, looking forward to the halftime show. But, hey, to each their own. Yeah, the Rams, I don't know. I feel like the Rams are going to do it. I don't know what they're going to do to stop Joe Burrow, if it's going to be an Aaron Donald performance or if somebody else is going to step up. I just want to see Matthew Stafford win one. Like, he spent all those years with the Lions. I just think he deserves one for all the crap he had to put up with in Detroit. Because no one in Detroit's ever going to see a Super Bowl, at least not for a long time.
They'll bite off kneecaps, but, they won't make it to the Super Bowl no time soon.
Detroit's going to be like that annoying little pest that you just want to brush away, and sometimes it'll get you, but other times it won't.
Like Alabama?
Oh, God. See, at least we can agree on that. Like, you being like down there in the heart of SEC country, I can't stand Alabama. I'm so glad Georgia won.
I mean, yeah, I'm from Louisiana, so I have to root for LSU, but my blood and my butter is Notre Dame for life. So
that's why we're tight. You know, I hope too that Marcus Freeman is that coaching performance he had in the bowl game was just like testing the waters, getting a feel for everything, because and it's not like it was the playoffs where everything was on the line. So hopefully he has time to develop his staff, develop his players, get everything going. The players seem like they're excited to play for him. So I really hope that Marcus Freeman takes them to that promised land.
That game doesn't count against anything. We didn't have Kyron Williams. We didn't have Kyle Hamilton. That was like when we played freaking, we beat Clemson, but they weren't at 1,000%. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. And I don't blame Kyron Williams. I mean, his draft stock is through the roof. And can you blame him? I mean, guy should have been a Heisman candidate, for crying out loud. But even then. All right. So Brett did ask the question. And his question is this, if it pops up on screen. My computer's acting up like in the worst way. There we go. Coming up with the question. It's so hard. I guess in theme with the Elimination Chamber coming up soon, what is your favorite and least favorite chamber match? Whew. Well, I've never been to a chamber live because there hasn't been one in Pittsburgh. I'm biased towards the first one because I really love that match, and it has probably my favorite video package of all time leading up to it. A lot of people say My Way for the Rock and Austin. A lot of people say this, that, and the other thing. It's like Survivor Series 2002. The video package for that is insanely good. So that one's the favorite. I feel like it's the lowest hanging fruits and the least favorite chamber matches, December to Dismember. Oh, it was such a clusterfuck.
So bad.
I think it was the Wrestle Talk list that Lori did on either yesterday or Monday. I watched that and I was reminded of how bad that match was. I was like, yeah, that one was not good at all. But yeah, the first one is probably my favorite. How about you?
My favorite, probably New Year's resolution.
Which one?
2006.
Oh, the one that Cena won. Okay.
Yeah, and Edge cashed in.
That's actually not a bad one. Yeah, and then Edge cashing in definitely leads to it being important. Colin says he's looking forward to the halftime show. It's my brother's birthday on the Super Bowl Sunday. Well, happy birthday to your brother. And yeah, my wife is a big like Eminem fan and Snoop and all that. Such an interesting choice for the musical guests. But I'm sure it's going to be a great time. Like I've for a non-Steelers Super Bowl, like I'm probably excited about this one a lot, just to see what kind of history is made.
Right. Speaking of the Steelers, I saw that your GM is stepping away after the draft.
Yes.
And you've started interviewing clients to replace him. Now, my roommate is a diehard Steelers fan, and my brother is from Johnstown. So that's kind of, it's kind of in there in a little part of the family with Steelers. So I was telling my roommate this because, he follows, but not as hard as I follow everything.
Yeah.
The Steelers are interviewing Louis Riddick.
Yes.
For their GM job.
Mm-hmm.
That is the biggest name to interview for a GM job in the last 10 years, if you ask me. Louis Riddick is so smart and so passionate about everything he does. If he gets the Steelers job, the league better be on notice because you're going to have some issues to deal with.
I hope he interviews so well. I hope he gets that job. Like I'm rooting for Louis Riddick to get that job because I see his qualifications. I see his mind work as like, this could be the perfect fit. And he's a Pittsburgh guy. So it's the perfect fit for him to go there. Will that mean another Super Bowl under Tomlin? We'll see. But it's obviously early. Interviews haven't happened yet. But Louis Riddick in Pittsburgh, I'm for it if it happens.
Absolutely.
You didn't want Mahomes in a third straight Super Bowl. Hey, listen, I dealt with that. I think everybody in the league dealt with that. If you weren't from Boston, then you didn't want to see Brady in 3 straight Super Bowls either. So, we get that. And we're not going to see Brady in this Super Bowl or any Super Bowl again because he
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumors that he might come out of retirement, even though he just announced it a week or 2 ago. It's like, geez, let it rest.
And the only place that he said he would, play for in that interview is San Francisco. So,
I mean, that seems like an interesting choice to go to San Francisco, but. Man, that'd be so annoying if he took another team to 6 Super Bowls. Like, geez, 2 is enough for right now. Let the Steelers get their 7th, and then a bunch of others can get 6. Whatever. But that's just me being me. All right, so lost my train of thought, but it's okay. The Rams and the Bengals. I don't even know what the line is on that. I want to check it out.
4.5.
4.5? Which way?
Yeah.
For the Rams?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of figured the Bengals were the underdog a little bit. And I feel like Cleveland, Colin, is on the cusp of something good. They just seemingly can't put it together. Like last year, I don't want to say that was an anomaly because they did win in the playoffs for the first time in God knows how long. And yes, it was to the hands of the Steelers, which people in Cleveland will never stop talking about that. It's like, and what drove me nuts was that they were still trash talking about last year when they were eliminated from this year's playoffs. It's like, how long are you going to hold on to that? Like the Steelers had the worst offensive line in the league and still made the playoffs. Did they deserve to get in? Probably not. But the fact that they still made it in the new system is a testament to them and how resilient they are. But
this is also coming from people in Cleveland who threw themselves a parade when they didn't win a game. So, I mean, hello.
What was that for their 0-16 season?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, you win the first draft pick, if nothing else.
Yeah.
What do you think about all the news that's coming out about, Brian Flores? I believe we talked about this last week, Jeff and I. Brian Flores asking to lose on purpose. And Hugh Jackson, said it and then, retracted it. And it seems like a big deal that coaches are paid to lose because I mean, you have a lot of people invested emotionally in these games, and knowing that your team is potentially throwing them, it's not a good look.
Right, and Goodell actually commented on that about 2 hours ago and said that, hey, you can be removed as an owner from the NFL.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. So I feel like he's listening. And, on that line of Brian Flores and that whole situation, I feel like the Lovie Smith hire in Houston was forced. I feel like they did it just so they can look good in the media to block out what they've already been struggling with Deshaun Watson. So, I mean,
do you think it's a Rooney Rule hire, or do you think it's to deflect?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I think it's both.
I mean, that's possible. It could be both.
I think it's just the only thing good that organization did in their interview process, because of how smart I know he is, and people look at it like it's stupid, was interviewing Hines Ward. That was brilliant because Hines Ward is a genius. But you're interviewing candidates like Josh McCown, who's never coached, not even been a coordinator. Come on now. Let's be real here.
And he was one of about 54 quarterbacks in Cleveland in the last 20 years. A little bit of shooting. So, Colin, I will agree with you that driving in downtown Pittsburgh does suck. Even if you know your way around. Yeah, it's not fun sometimes, especially all the bridges you have to deal with. But yeah, I get the whole driving at 56. Okay, sorry, I was underselling. Yeah, I think that coaching situation with Flores, like, and I don't understand it though, because the Dolphins started out 1-8 and then won 8 straight, and you fire him after a performance like that. Do you think it had anything to do with missing the playoffs, or
no?
Do you think said, like, oh, you did good, but not well enough? Like, well, just keep their jobs after like 4 and 13 seasons, like
right. I mean, the biggest problem there is he straight up said, I don't feel like Tua is the guy. I mean, you know who I want at quarterback. I don't care about what situational trouble he's in. I want Deshaun Watson. You either give me Deshaun Watson or, you can let me go. I mean, point blank, period. I'm not here to lose games for you. I'm not going to lose on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
the old tank for Tua.
Yeah, no, screw that.
I mean, like, it is. The NFL is such a weird thing. And I said after this season, there are times where I just did not understand how football worked. Like, I've been a fan for many, many years, and watching some of these games unfold the way they do, I'm like, I don't understand anything. None of this makes any sense whatsoever. And I'm not the only one, I'm sure, because this NFL season has been insane. I thought last year was crazy. This year has been just all over the place.
Look at the offseason.
Oh, yeah. The offseason for a lot of teams has started, and obviously not for the Rams and the Bengals, but
look at what my running back did in Vegas.
Yeah. Kamara. Yikes. I saw the picture of the guy too. That did not look good.
No.
And Kamara isn't, like, why would he do something like that?
Drunk and stupid.
It's probably, but like, you are like a star running back in the NFL. You go and do something stupid like that, teams are not going to want to touch you.
I mean, I would not, as much as it pains me to say it, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we let him go.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And then some organization that's like, yeah, we don't care about those problems. We'll pick them up. So
I mean, Cincinnati. Hey, Cincinnati did it.
Cincinnati did it for years. Like,
get rid of
between the Cowboys and the Bengals, they were just like, hey, we don't care if you, like, ran somebody down in the middle of the street. You can play football. Yeah, come here. It was so bad. It was such bad PR. Like, I don't know.
You know what the worst case in Cincinnati was, right?
Which case was that?
Joe Mixon.
I don't know if I heard about Mixon's.
Joe Mixon knocked out this girl out cold in the middle of a restaurant.
Yeah, that would do it.
During his draft process, the night before the draft, and Cincinnati said, I don't care. So what? Big deal.
Yeah, that's not a good look whatsoever.
No.
Oh, boy. Josh is asking if you are a Saints fan.
I am.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not gonna tell you who my second team is because we're the worst franchise that's, we haven't had any. No, close. Oh. You're close. You're right on the money. Yes.
The poor Jets.
Yeah.
The greatest thing the Jets did was beat Cincinnati this year just so Denise Salcedo could run her mouth on Sean Ross Sapp. That was the greatest thing the Jets did.
Oh, that's close to beating Brady too.
Yeah. Granted, the finish of that Jets-Bengals game was a little controversial because I watched that. I don't know if it was unnecessary roughness call or it was hit to the head or something, but it was very questionable. Call that went against the Bengals. Obviously didn't affect them too much. They're in the Super Bowl.
Hello.
Yeah. A lot of people speculating who the mystery free agent is going to be. And it's a lot of people are talking about Keith Lee. I wouldn't mind seeing Keith Lee be in there.
You watch Wrestle Talk this morning?
I have not. I need to catch up on my Wrestle Talk. Which is funny because I just recorded a match with Tempest yesterday.
Right. Yeah. Scarlett Bordeaux kind of screwed herself up by saying that they were going to be in Atlantic City. And she laughed and didn't realize what she was saying, fumbling her words. And then she goes, oh, well, we're going to gamble. That's why we're going. Yeah. And Karen Cross is looking at her like, really? Really? And he laughingly joked off she was out of her mind. So,
yeah, good job, Scarlett. I mean, there could be a whole bunch of people teasing that they're going to be there, but
oh yeah, there's
Carrion's might have expired already.
It's going to be 30. It's going to be 29 degrees here tonight. I swear. If I see Shane McMahon in the AEW ring, I will run outside butt naked and do cartwheels.
I won't do that, but I will scream at the top of my lungs because I'll be super excited because I
love Shane McMahon, but come on
now. Josh is asking, biggest question for Greg and the Steelers. Do you start Mason next season? No. Draft a QB to be the starter? Probably. Or somehow draft and get a veteran quarterback like Rodgers? Probably not. Or Deshaun Watson? Definitely not. There's a lot of talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, too, from the 49ers. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how he would fit into the scheme. I really don't care who's quarterback next season. I just care that we have an offensive line that can protect said quarterback. That's the biggest problem I think we face. So, I mean, Mason is not an ideal option. For crying out loud, he tied the Lions.
Don't sleep on Dwayne.
Go ahead.
Don't sleep on Dwayne. They never gave him a chance yet.
Yeah, they haven't.
He's just there.
I don't know why. I don't know why they're so set in their ways. I could have sworn Dwayne Haskins, won the quarterback chase for the number 2 spot, but they're stuck with Mason Rudolph, and ever since he got bashed in the helmet by Myles Garrett, he has not been great. I mean, not that he was, a phenomenal quarterback to begin with, but I don't understand why they want to stick with him so much. And that's one of the Steelers' biggest problems is that they like to say, oh, we have everybody we need already. Well, then you should be making the Super Bowl every year if you have everybody you need. You clearly don't. There's clearly teams better than you. It's a very stubborn mindset. And coming from one of the most stubborn people in the world, you have to adapt to change.
Right.
Brett is asking a trivia question for our Q&A, which we're just kind of stream of conscious in this show. What was the Intercontinental Championship match for SummerSlam 2005? 2005. I know I watched this pay-per-view. And I feel like No, Nitro wasn't champion until next year. Never mind. I'm thinking way too ahead of myself. Carlito would have been champion. I think. Yeah, because the draft was before. So Carlito would have been champion because Carlito lost the title to Flair at Unforgiven. Who the hell did Carlito face? I feel like Shelton's the easy out. So I'd say Carlito and Shelton.
Yeah, that's what I was.
That would be my guess. This guy Experience donated. Thank you very much, this guy. If they merge the world titles again, what do you think they will call it? And I personally think Bobby Lashley needs the title for at least a year with some great feuds. I wouldn't mind seeing a long Lashley title run. I thought his first reign was great. I don't want them to merge the titles again unless they are planning on eliminating the brand split. Otherwise, there's no point in merging the titles. I don't want to see Brock win that Elimination Chamber. I want to see Roman Reigns beat Goldberg, that's for sure. I don't want to see... I'd like to see somebody like Seth or Lashley retaining at Elimination Chamber. I don't want to see Brock. I was starting to think that too. There wasn't an Intercontinental title match. I was like, that's probably why I didn't remember it, because there wasn't one. Well done, Brett.
That's a Greg Cherry move.
That is a total new move. And speaking of, Brett is in his semifinal match against Sat Iniangi tomorrow. Wrestling Trivia Challenge. I have both semifinal matches recorded, so I will be getting a hold of both of the winners here in the next day or two to record the final match. No spoilers on who those people are, but just in general. Interstate Kyle, how you doing, sir? Been a bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I can see Roman Reigns holding the title all the way to WrestleMania 40 at this point. You know, I'm not going to put it out of the realm of possibility, because that would probably put him, that would put him over 1,000 days. That would put him probably around 1,100. But at that point, like, who do you have beat Roman? Like, if you have Roman go all the way to WrestleMania 39 next year and face The Rock and beat The Rock, then you have to have somebody win the Rumble and then be the guy to take the title from Roman. But who do you have to use that as your star building moment, because whoever beats Roman is the next guy.
Matt Riddle.
It might be Braun Breaker. I don't know if they want to take him that far, but
oh, that was a very interesting segment last night.
that was such a cluster of a segment with Ziggler and Ciampa and Legado del Fantasma. It's all over the place. Wrestling No DQ Twitter was not happy with my Chamber Mania suggestion I made on Twitter.
Oh Lord.
I saw it earlier too, and I can't remember what it was. So give me a second. There you go, Josh. Oh, yeah. Don't do that. If Lesnar wins the WWE title, Reigns should lose the Universal title to Goldberg. They go on to win the WWE title from Lesnar at Mania. So Reigns would win the title from Lesnar, even though Lesnar won the Rumble. Yeah, that's way too complicated.
Good night, folks.
And then Goldberg loses the Universal title to Big E. Okay, that is like an acceptable. It started out kind of bad, and then the Goldberg putting over Big E thing. I understand. It's probably too convoluted though.
There's something in the back of my head out of a possibility. You know we're getting Roman Brock. I mean, that's set
Roman
in
Brock's
stone.
already pretty much locked in.
I know everybody wants it to be Big E and Bobby and all of this, but what if you do Bobby and Cena?
I mean, you could do Lashley and Cena. They've only had one-on-one match against each other, and that was all the way back in 2007
at the Great American Bash.
Yep. Lashley's last WWE pay-per-view before he left and went to TNA and do MMA stuff.
Yep.
With it being in Saudi, I'm not putting it past WWE because we thought that The Fiend was just going to run through Goldberg, and Goldberg pretty much buried Bray Wyatt in that match. It was such a poor decision, which led to Goldberg. He was supposed to face Roman then, and because of COVID, he ended up facing Braun. So basically, that entire thing was for nothing. I know The Fiend got the title back, but it was only for a week before Roman won it, and then he's still reigning.
And I'm still wondering. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if this guy said, let Bobby go over Cena. Absolutely. Yeah, you would have to. Go ahead, though.
It's just like, I feel like, is Vince even in control of this pay-per-view? Is it what Vince wants? I'm sorry. This glorified house show. Is it what Vince wants, or is it what the Prince wants?
I doubt the Prince has any actual creative control. That wouldn't make any sense to me. But I really think that the weird thing is, like, the last Saudi show was actually really good. It was the best Saudi show they've done, the Super Showdown, where Xavier Woods won King of the Ring. Roman and Big E and Drew McIntyre had a really good match. There were a few other good matches on that show. Roman and Brock finished kind of weird, but it was still all right. But it was the best Saudi show they did, in my opinion.
Right.
Had Edge and Seth Rollins and Hell in a Cell. That was good.
I kind of wish they would go back to, I know given what's going on with COVID out there, but I really wish they would go back to Australia and do another Greatest Royal Rumble.
I would like to see them do another Greatest Royal Rumble again, but the problem is the Greatest Royal Rumble that they did just was full of a whole bunch of people that probably didn't need to be in it. And people that there were a few people that you never saw again after that.
Correct.
This guy donated again. Appreciate this guy. And he said, I've been saying this since Roman was knighted as Vince's new Cena. WWE needs to build a roundtable of competitors that are on the same level, if not higher, to keep all fans interested. A roundtable of current stars, he means. And the same goes for Becky. Yeah, the problem with making such dominant champions is that it makes it seem like they are the only true main eventers. Like, back in the Attitude Era, you had Austin, Rock, Undertaker, Kane, Triple H, Big Show, Mick Foley. You had a bunch of guys that could easily go right into that main event slot, and it would not be a problem whatsoever. And there were even guys like in the mid card that could probably slide in there, like X-Pac challenged for the WWE title before. Shane McMahon, like a lot of people don't care for Shane's like Attitude Era stuff. Shane was gold. Like, Shane has been gold, and like the whole Rumble thing drove me insane. But Shane McMahon is a guy who could slide into a main event spot and deserve it, quite frankly.
And you can't tell me that match versus Angle wasn't one of the greatest matches you will ever see in your life. So
Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle from King of the Ring is my favorite match. It's my favorite match of all time. Let me see here.
So, what's your thoughts on the women being in this chamber? And Saudi?
I mean, the fact that the women are getting 2 matches in Saudi Arabia is a big deal, and the fact that it's going to be 8 different women competing, good for them, because the first couple shows were just mostly male dominated just because of the culture over there, and now that they've implemented more women, it's hopefully going to lead to some kind of change there. I don't know if it's going to be significant, but there's slight progress to maybe like loosen their restrictions over there. I don't know. I don't control it. And I'm not condoning all the stuff that the Saudis do. Like, let's not twist my words or something. It's like, let's at least accentuate the positives and not try to bring everybody down. And JB3, I will never stop with the whole Shane thing, because Shane McMahon is one of my favorite performers of all time. I will never stop talking about Shane McMahon in a positive light. I have one of his freaking jerseys in my closet right now. So don't tell me. I will always be a big Shane O'Mac fan. And if he shows up at AEW tonight, then that'll be insane. He won't, because... But hey, if anybody could pull it off, it'd be Tony Khan.
That'd break the freaking internet.
It would, absolutely would. Test mid card Eddie, Jeff Hardy back in the Attitude Era. They could be seen on similar levels. Jeff Hardy beat Triple H for the Intercontinental title in 2001. So, and you know what? Test gets a bad rap. I really enjoyed Test. And obviously, Eddie Guerrero rose to main event status. But there were just so many guys that if you put them in a situation, they could thrive.
People call me corny, but I enjoyed the hell out of Test when he was with Stacy Keibler. I mean, that was just great. I felt like his promos got better. His in-ring matches got better. He seemed like he had more motivation overall.
And not only that, Test wrestled in a street fight for 15 minutes with Shane McMahon, and Test had a broken foot. He did that on Raw in 2003. Don't believe me? Go back and watch it. It was crazy, and Test deserved way more credit than he actually got.
Oh, Raw 2003. Oh, the first thing just popped in my head was being in Lafayette and seeing Shane get his testicles.
Oh, man. Were you there for that?
I was.
Oh, man.
I was.
I can't imagine how that remotely could have felt.
And I was 10. So make matters even worse. I was 10 seeing that.
Yeah, I was slightly older than 10, but we won't get into that. Josh, I do agree that Balor deserves more respect. The fact that he was not in the Rumble at all was ridiculous. I mean, I think he was out of the country, but even so, the fact that he wasn't even booked for the Rumble was... Of course, to be fair, he might have lucked out because that Rumble sucked.
Horrible.
So nobody got over in that Rumble whatsoever.
So here's an interesting thing. What do you think would have happened if they actually went with what was leaked out to be the winner? What would have happened if Riddle won the Rumble?
I think a couple sites negated that. I'm pretty sure Fightful disputed that report. But if Riddle would have won, like the RK Bros stuff would be... I don't know what would happen with that.
So you would have took Riddle and let him win at Mania, and then built it up to SummerSlam to finally get the match with Goldberg to end that. I mean, they've been building that slowly for what, 2 years now?
I don't know if Riddle and Goldberg's ever going to happen. The fact that Riddle and Brock are going to be in the same ring, like actually competing, not just the Rumble, because they were both in the ring of the Rumble, but that's a different story. The fact that they're going to be in the ring at the same time, I'd love to see them start, but Brock's going to come out sixth. He's going to come out last. I don't know. Like, there were reports that Seth Rollins was going to fight Shane McMahon for the WWE title at WrestleMania, and I'm sick in the head, but I would love to see that.
There's nothing better than watching WrestleMania and seeing Shane hit coast to coast. I mean, It's like having Undertaker's match in Mania. It's what you look forward to. I mean, coast to coast is one of the greatest moves of all time.
Yeah. It takes a lot of athleticism to pull it off. And the fact that Shane is 50 plus years old and can still do it, dude is ridiculous.
And no offense. Go ahead.
As I said, people make fun of his punches or whatever, sure, that he throws potatoes, but you cannot discount how good Shane McMahon is.
No, the man puts his body on the line constantly. He jumped off of the cell, what, twice?
Twice. On purpose. He wasn't even thrown off. He went up, climbed it, and then jumped off because he's insane. And I love Shane for that.
Yep.
This guy donated again and said, Sons of the Billionaires ruling AEW, meaning Shane and Tony Khan. What a great day that would be if Shane goes on AEW and Tony takes shots at Vince. And he's still upset that Finn got more moves on Brock than Bobby. Well, Lashley won, so there's a difference between those Rumble title matches.
Call me crazy, but somewhere in the back of my head, I'm wondering if this is all like bullshit. Like if there's
stuff?
Huh?
The Shane stuff?
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if it's like all bullshit and if it's building to something bigger. Like
I am too, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, are you trying to establish Shane as a heel because he's like a jag, or like I don't understand what the process would be. It's like, if you're gonna make Shane a heel, just make Shane a heel. You don't have to make him the scapegoat of the Rumble match.
Right.
And whatever Shane had in mind was probably better than what we actually saw at the Rumble.
But the funny story about them screwing up the music is hilarious. Because Randy said, yeah, I'm not coming out to your music. You're just going to have to just go out there right now because, And then apparently Randy found it to be the funniest shit in the world. So
current Randy Orton might be my favorite Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
Just because he's like so laissez-faire about stuff. It's awesome.
I would love to see this build out with Shane and then have Triple H come back and they form like their own team just to destroy everything Vince is putting together on the roster. I feel like that would make the product of WWE more entertaining. But if they don't capitalize off of this, just sell it to Disney and hang up your coat and freaking go on to the old retirement home because you should just give up.
I would love to see a storyline where Shane and Triple H both lead a group of guys to take over WWE from Vince. That's what I would love to see. Because Vince has kind of screwed them both over completely. Vince completely ruined NXT. He threw his own son out just to appease Brock. So it's like, like they could like take shots at Nick Khan and whatever. And I don't know. Fantasy booking.
I like what Josh put in the chat. Randy Orton is what Charlotte Flair needs to be. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Charlotte is But let me say this, because I don't want to come off like I'm slandering Charlotte whatsoever. She is an insane athlete. Like, she is ridiculously good, incredibly talented. The problem is, like, anytime I watch her match, I get the feeling like she has to be the star of the match. Like, she doesn't want to make her opponent look as good as she does.
Right.
Whereas where you watch a Sasha Banks match, Sasha bumps her ass off for whoever she's facing and makes them look like $1 million. I mean, there's multiple reasons why I'm a fan of Sasha Banks, but that's one of them. I love the fact that she gives her opponents the opportunity to look so good. And her match with Bianca at WrestleMania, I will say it until I'm blue in the face or until there's a match better than it, that Sasha and Bianca is a top 5 WrestleMania main event.
Poor Trish. Poor Trish. Yeah, you heard what happened, right?
What's that?
With Trish.
What about Trish?
She was supposed to be in a Rumble, but they went on a 72-hour lockdown, and you couldn't travel, so she couldn't get from Canada.
Yeah. Well, based on how long Sasha was in the Rumble, I guess it didn't much matter. Unless she was going to be in an early spot. But Sasha and Trish, that is the match I want. Like, Charlotte and Trish was great. Don't get me wrong. That match at SummerSlam a couple years ago was great. But the money's Sasha and Trish. Oh, my goodness, that match will be so good if it ever happens.
I wonder what happened with the storyline they were planning for Mania, at least the one that was leaked out. I wonder why they scrapped the Bella Twins facing Carmella and Selena at Mania.
I mean, they may not
for the
have
titles.
They may not have. I mean, after the Elimination Chamber, I'm guessing that there's going to be more clarity with the women's tag team titles, because you figure every championship's going to be on the line. You figure the Intercontinental Championship is maybe that's where Shinsuke and Sammy finally face each other. I don't know. Shinsuke hasn't defended the title since, like, I don't know, 2016. He's been champion for a long time and just hasn't defended it. I don't know. Like,
call me. I mean, and Damian does not need to lose to AJ next week, because call me crazy, but I feel like the money match for Mania for Priest, even though it would be kind of degrading him a little bit, but I think it'd be a phenomenal match, is Damian and Edge.
I mean, that would be a good match. I don't know if Edge is going to do that match or if he's going to do the match against AJ Styles. I would be fine with an Edge and AJ match.
Oh, yeah.
Or even where he's going to fit into the WrestleMania program, because you figure he's going to be there. It's just a matter of who he's going to face. So it's not going to be The Miz. That program's over. So, who do you have? Who do you bring in Edge to face at WrestleMania?
And I know, right? And I know I'm a mark, but I feel like Undertaker's going to wrestle for 6 seconds at WrestleMania.
You think?
I feel like that's what Vince's Austin Theory's storyline is built into. He just gets dropped at Mania.
I mean, it very well may happen, but I don't see the Undertaker ever stepping back in the ring again. Unless he makes like it won't be like an actual match. He might just show up. But I mean, WrestleMania is in Dallas this year, so it could be his time to go in the Hall of Fame.
It needs to be.
Yeah. It makes sense for him to be the headliner. I'm surprised they haven't announced anybody for the Hall of Fame yet. Normally they're pretty good with that.
I know you and Jeff talked about it, but who do you feel like it's their year to go in the celebrity wing?
Of the celebrity wing. Snoop's already in.
I mean, do you put Betty?
That movie's too recent.
Right. You put Betty White in there?
Maybe.
I feel like my two, if I had to, sit down and choose, I think the top three is Bob Barker in yet?
No, Bob Barker is not in yet.
Okay, because I know Bob's not dead yet, so he would have the chance to be there and accept the award. But I feel like my top three would be Bob Barker, Betty White, or Big Ben. Because I'm sorry, that was one of my favorite segments ever in the history of Monday Night Raw. Is Ben and his offensive line against the Big Show and Chris Jericho. I mean, that was just straight up gold with DX.
That was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if they'll have Roethlisberger go in just because he was only on that one Raw. Now, granted, Drew Carey was only in the Royal Rumble, but I feel like that's more well-known than a lot of the guest host era. Shatner just went in. I don't know who else you would have celebrity-wise that could possibly go into the Hall of Fame. I guess we'll see. Or if they even do a celebrity wing this year. You don't know. But I know it's a little earlier than 8 o'clock, but I think we're going to end it so we all get the opportunity to watch AEW Dynamite. There's a Texas death match tonight for the AEW Championship. Hangman Page defending his championship against Lance Archer. That one should be intense because the last time Lance Archer was in a Texas death match, he won the IWGP US title from Jon Moxley.
Correct.
So, will history repeat itself, or will Hangman be able to overcome the odds yet again? He's been through some brutal matches as champion. So
I went to Dallas to see the draw. That was the most amazing thing ever. I was there for him and Brian. That crowd was so electric. It was amazing.
I bet. Josh, where is your question? I'll have to scroll back through to look. Or you can just write it again. That would be helpful. This guy says, what current star or past 3 years should have been world champion? Shane McMahon. I will say I will never stop saying that Shane McMahon should have been WWE champion.
In the past 3 years? Ooh. Liv Morgan.
I mean, Liv would have been a good shout. Why am I not seeing your question, Josh? Anyway, Josh, I'll probably have to answer it next week. Oh, thoughts on the NFL commissioner saying clubs have the authority to remove owners from the league? Well, we talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that. And I mean, if they're paying them to lose, if they're trying to game the system, as it were, they absolutely should. I mean, every team should be in the business of trying to win. It should not be, hey, lose strategically. It's like, hey, all of us should be trying to win the Super Bowl. So, yeah.
And I feel like if you find that to be true, then Josh, then Cleveland's in trouble too.
Yeah, they definitely are. All right. Well, DJ Bayside, hi. I appreciate you for stepping in this week.
Of course.
Talking some football with me, talking some wrestling.
Oh, yeah. I do want to say one thing.
Go for it.
Hey, Jeff, when Greg puts together the Jack of all trades again, I want to be in the field because that title looks pretty good, and I want it.
There you go. All right, Jack of all trades, pending all things with the tournament, hopefully should be coming back next month, but we will see. Until then, thank you again, DJ Bayside High, for being on the show. I am, of course, Greg Cherry, and yes, Josh Mansfield with the most important hashtag of the day, hashtag Greg Cherry for Quizlemania. Yes, it will happen. It is bound to happen. I don't know when, but it is bound to happen. Make it happen. Go tweet at the Wrestle Talk guys.
I love Sean Ross Sapp.
Oh, I love Sean too. And you know, every time it comes up, I have to play this clip. Hold on.
Greg Cherry for Quizlemania. Greg Cherry for Quizlemania. Greg Cherry for Quizzlemania. Hashtag Greg Cherry for Quizzlemania.
When you said you would fill for 10 minutes until RJ City got here, this is not what you promised
Greg
me,
Cherry
John.
for Quizzlemania.
Stop pulling back the curtain, Sean Ross.
Do it.
So how?
I love Sean. Sean's awesome. I actually tried to get him on the show, but he was unfortunately busy tonight. I figured he would want to talk about his Bengals, but maybe another time. Maybe he'll be on the celebration show if they end up winning. Who knows?
Have you seen Renee Puckett's videos on Twitter in her hardcore Bengals mode? They're very entertaining.
Oh, I'm sure, because I mean Mox is from Cincy too, so he's probably pretty excited about it. But anyway, thank you again for joining us this week. We will be back next week. Check out Wrestling Trivia Challenge tomorrow. And it's the first semifinal match, Brett Storm against Sati Niyangi. Who's going to win that one? You will find out tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern, and you will see us every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern right here on the Greg Cherry Show.